The Senate will come to order. Mr. Carpenter, please call the roll.
Senators Aguilar,
Excused.
Baumgardner, Cook, Corum, Court, Crowder, Donovan, Binberg, Fields, Garcia, Gardner, Guzman, Hill, Holbert, John, Jones,
Excused.
Kagan, Kafalis, Kerr, Lambert, Lumberg, Marble, Martinez-Huminick, Merrifield, Merrifield,
Excused.
Moreno, Neville, Priola, Scott, Smallwood, Sonnenberg, Tate, Todd, Williams, Zinzinger, Mr. President,
Here. 32 present, 0 absent, 3 excused. We have a quorum. Senator Gardner, would you please come and lead us in the pledge?
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, guests, and folks in the gallery, and Mr. and Mrs. Colorado on the Colorado Channel, please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag. Approval of the journal. Senator Smallwood.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the reading of the journal for Wednesday, April 18th be dispensed with and the journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You've heard the motion. Is there any objection? Seeing none, the motion is adopted. Please add Senator Merrifield to the roll. And Senator Jones to the roll. Committee reports.
April 18, 2018, Committee on Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Energy has had in consideration had hearing on the following appointments or recommends appointments to place on the consent calendar and confirmed members of the Colorado Water Conservation Board for terms expiring February 12, 2020. Celine Nicole Hawkins of Durango, Colorado, resident of the San Miguel Dolores San Juan Drainage Basin and a Democrat, appointed. Heather Renee Dutton of Del Norte, Colorado, to serve as representative from the Rio Grande Drainage Basin and as a Republican, appointed. Jack Martin Goebel of Hasty, Colorado, to serve as representative from the Arkansas Drainage Basin and unaffiliated, appointed for terms expiring February 12, 2021. Ron A. Trick of Crowder, Colorado, to serve as representative of the North Platte Drainage Basin, a Republican, appointed. Stephen A. Anderson of Olathe, Colorado, to serve as representative of the Gunnison and Compagre Drainage Basin as a Republican, appointed. James Thomas Yon of Sterling, Colorado, to serve as representative of the South Platte Drainage Basin as a Republican, reappointed. April 18, 2018, Committee on Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Energy, Advocacy Area Summaries Committee as follows. Senate Bill 226 be referred to committee to hold the favorable recommendation. April 18, 2018, Committee on Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Energy, Advocacy Area Summaries Committee as follows. Senate Bill 239 be referred to committee to hold the favorable recommendation. Recommendation placed on consent calendar. April 18, 2018, the Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs had in consideration had hearing on the following appointments. Recommends the appointments be confirmed. Members of the Colorado Civil Rights Commission for a term expiring March 13, 2021, Charles Frederick Garcia of Denver, Colorado, Democrat and member of the community at large, and occasioned by the resignation of Heidi Jean Hess of Clifton, Colorado, appointed. April 18, 2018, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of Marriage Committee as following. Senate Bill 242 be referred to committee to hold the favorable recommendation. April 18, 2018, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of Marriage Committee as following. House Bill 1304 be postponed indefinitely, April 18, 2018, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of Mayor's Committee as following. House Bill 1262 be postponed indefinitely, April 18, 2018, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of Mayor's Committee as following. House Bill 1261 be postponed indefinitely, April 18, 2018, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of Mayor's Committee as following. House Bill 1152 be referred to Committee of the Whole, favorable recommendation placed on the consent calendar, April 18, 2018, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, after consideration of Mayor's Committee as following. House Bill 1181 be amended as follows as so amended, be referred to Committee of the Whole, favorable recommendation placed on the consent calendar, April 18, 2018. Committee on Health and Human Services, after consideration of Mayor's Committee as following. Senate Bill 237 be postponed indefinitely, April 18, 2018. Committee on Judiciary, after consideration of Mayor's Committee as following. Senate Bill 234 be amended as follows as so amended, be referred to Committee of the Whole, favorable recommendation placed on the consent calendar, April 18, 2018. Committee on Judiciary, after consideration of Mayor's Committee as following. House Bill 1092 be postponed indefinitely, April 18, 2018, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration of Mayor's Committee as following. House Bill 1256 be amended as follows as so amended, be referred to the Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation. April 18, 2018, Committee on Education, after consideration of Mayor's Committee as following. House Bill 1070 be amended as follows as so amended, be referred to Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation. April 18, 2018, Committee on Education, after consideration of Mayor's Committee as following. House Bill 1277 be referred to Committee of the Whole, with favorable recommendation placed on the consent calendar.
Senate Services.
Correctly printed, Senate Concurrent Resolution 4 and 5, correctly engrossed, Senate Bill 223, correctly revised, House Bill 1186, 1235, 1240, 1265, 1284, 1296, 1300, 1308, correctly enrolled, Senate Bill 76 and 144, Senate Resolution 5.
Third reading of bills, consent calendar. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. There has been a request to remove Senate Bill 223 from the third reading of bills consent calendar. It will be removed from the consent calendar and placed last on the third reading of bills calendar to follow House Bill 1284.
Senate Bill 223 will be removed to the end of the third reading of bills calendar. Mr. Carpenter. Please add Senator Aguilar to the roll. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the titles to all the bills remaining on the third reading of bills consent calendar?
House Bill 1265 by Representatives Fontaine and Beckman and Senator Crowder concerning the continuation of the Stroke Advisory Board in accordance with the recommendation of the Department of Regulatory Agency's 2017 Sunset Report. House Bill 1308 by Representatives Kraft, Larp, and Becker J. and Senator Salem Kagan concerning an exemption from the Workers' Compensation Act of Colorado for non-resident employers whose employees are temporarily working in Colorado. House Bill 1296 by Representatives Melton and Everett and Senators Marble and Moreno concerning an expansion of the ability to leave a motor vehicle unattended in certain circumstances. House Bill 1240 by Representatives Bridges and Becker J. and Senator Cook concerning the continuation of a grant program to prevent motor vehicle theft and in connection therewith implementing the Sunset Review recommendations of the Department of Regulatory Agencies. House Bill 1235 by Representatives Hanson and McKean and Senator Scott concerning the continuation of the regulation of custom meat processors in connection therewith implementing the recommendations of the 2017 Sunset Report of the Department of Regulatory Agencies. House Bill 1186 by Representatives Wilson and Ryan and Senator Marble concerning the continuation of the Colorado Youth Advisory Council in connection with implementing the Sunset Review recommendations of the Department of Regulatory Agencies and making an appropriation.
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move all of the bills listed, remaining bills listed on the third reading of bills consent calendar, including House Bills 1265, 1308, 1296, 1240, 1235, and 1186.
Is there any discussion on any of the bills? The motion is for the adoption of all the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar. Are there any no votes on any of the bills? Senator Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I don't think we should be promoting putting cars out in the front of houses in cold weather to warm up, puffing, as they call it. And so I am going to be a no vote on 1296, please.
Senator Marble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish to be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1265 and House Bill 1240.
And House Bill what?
1240.
1240. 1265 and 1240. Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1265.
Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish to be recorded a no vote on House Bill 1265.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to be recorded as a no vote on 1296.
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, would like to be recorded as a no vote on 1265.
Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to be recorded as a no for House Bill 1296.
Any further no votes? Senator Kafalis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. I wish to be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1296. Thank you.
Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1265.
Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. Please record me as a no vote on 1265.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I likewise would like to be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1265.
Senator Hill.
Same request, Mr. President. Please record me as a no on 1265.
Any further? Senator Martinez-Humenick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to be recorded as a no vote on 1296.
Any further no votes? With 27 ayes, 8 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1265 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Kafalis, Senator Moreno, Senator Aguilar, Senator Williams, Senator Todd, Senator Merrifield, Senator Tate, with 30. Please add Senator Martinez-Humenick as as a co-sponsor on 1265. With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1308 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Tate, Senator Cook, Leader Garcia, Senator Guzman, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Neville, Senator John, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Fields. We're on co-sponsors on 1308. Senator Marble, Senator Todd, Senator Williams, Senator Scott, Senator Gardner, Senator Priola, Senator Donovan, Senator Aguilar, please add the President, and Senator Merrifield, and Senator Fields. No co-sponsor. Yeah, go ahead and take it.
Mr. President, I'd like to remove my name as a co-sponsor for Senate Bill 1308.
And House Bill 1308.
House Bill 1308.
Very well. With 35 ayes, 30. Oh, we skipped. Thank you. Yeah. With 30 ayes, 5 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1296 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Scott, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Cook, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Lundberg, Senator Lambert, Senator Neville, Senator Gardner. Please add the President. With 34 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1240 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Tate, Senator Moreno, Senator Fields. Co-sponsors on 1240: Senator Court, Senator Martinez-Humenick. With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused. House Bill 1235 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Crowder, Senator Tate, Senator Neville, Senator Marble, Senator Donovan, Senator Smallwood, Senator Cook, Senator Hill, Senator Martinez-Humenick. Please add the President. With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1186 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Zenzinger, Senator Moreno, Senator Donovan, Senator Aguilar, Senator Williams, Senator Cort, Senator Fields, Senator Kafalis, Senator Todd, Senator Merrifield, Senator John, Senator Gardner, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Tate, Senator Todd again, Senator Lundberg, Senator Kerr. Please add the President. Oh, too late. And Senator Jones. Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would request to be added as a co-sponsor on House Bill 1240.
You will be added. Third reading of bills, final passage. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title of the Senate Bill 77?
Senate Bill 77 by Senator Crowder and Representatives Ryan and Valdez concerning a state sales and use tax exemption for used motor vehicles.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 77 for third and final reading and final passage, and it's a great middle-class bill.
Senator Cort.
Thank you, Mr. President. And as I said on seconds, and I will simply repeat myself because I think it's an extremely important message, I absolutely respect and appreciate the senator from the Arkansas Valley wanting to address a need. From Alamosa, excuse me. San Luis Valley, the San Luis Valley. Sorry. I completely respect what he wants to do here, but this is $77 million out of the general fund. We cannot afford it. We have, as our JBC members have pointed out, we have spent and respent an awful lot of the money we have, and this $77 million would have to come out, the 74, excuse me, of the current budget and 77 in the next year's budget would have to come out of what we've already done, and I don't know where it would come from, so I feel that it is a bill that we can't afford, so I urge a no vote.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am in hearty support because that $77 million will then stay in the hands of those people for whom we call the citizens of Colorado. That's a very, very good thing. I support this bill in a very, very big way.
Senator Cort.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I thoroughly respect our JBC member for coming up to say that, except that doesn't answer the question, what services will this eliminate?
I do know that the $5 fine that you will leave with the Secretary for calling me Mr. Chair will get us a long way towards that $77 million. You already had your 2 chances at the mic, Senator. There is no appeal. Senator Kagan.
Thank you, members. We've been down this road before. In the late 90s, the revenues were coming in, and we fell over ourselves to give tax cuts, income tax reductions. We doled out para benefits at a cut rate. We fall over ourselves in this legislature. When revenues are rising, we always take the opportunity, or we have in the past taken the opportunity to play Lady Bountiful to the taxpayer. And when we did this at the end of the last century, we are still paying that price. It is too easy when the revenue is coming in to be really nice to the voters and really nice to the taxpayers and say, hey, we're going to give you more money. Aren't we good people? But it's a fiscally irresponsible thing to do. When you get the revenue coming in, then you save it for a rainy day, and you build up the leaky roof that you've been deferring expenses on. You build up the education system that's been starved of funds. You make sure that public money is invested in public services, because it is precisely because we have the habit of being kind and nice to the taxpayer every time revenues go up that we end up in the hole every time they go down again. Let's not make the mistake that we made in the 1990s here in the 2018 session.
Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm sorry, apologize for chuckling. When we talk about the great benevolent government giving people something, what are they giving you? That's my question to the good senator from Arapahoe County. This is money that you earn. It's only a question whether they're going to take it, whether they're going to take it from you. There's not a giving equation in this. Unless you believe that that benevolent government is giving you something because benevolent politicians maybe allow you to keep what you earned in the first place. I don't think that's the equation. I think the equation is government uses force to either take from you what they believe they need. There's not part of the equation of allowing you to keep possibly what you need as a family or as individuals. So I support this bill, and I think to the other issue, the good senator from Arapahoe County, I want to mention, he did a great job of talking about fiscal responsibility. Oh my gosh, I hope we sure do see that sometime in the next 20 days or whatever before we hit sine die. But I will not hold my breath, but I hope that we have that fiscal responsibility, because remember, colleagues, $1.2 billion more in income, and I bet you we spend every penny and then some. So I do agree with the good senator from Arapahoe County on certain issues regarding fiscal responsibility. However, I know that if we allow individuals that actually work their tails off to make that money first, then we don't have a situation where we have to worry about government possibly spending that like a drunken sailor. So urge and I vote.
Any further discussion? Motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 77. Are there any no votes? Leader Garcia, Senator Guzman, Senator Kefauver, Senator Fields, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Jones, Senator Kerr, Senator Moreno, Senator Donovan, Senator Kagan, Senator Fenberg, Senator Aguilar, Senator Williams, Senator Todd, Senator Merrifield, Senator Court. With 19 ayes, 16 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 77 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Majority Leader Holbert, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Scott, Senator Marble, Senator Cook, Senator Neville, Senator Smallwood, Senator Gardner, Senator Lundberg, Senator Tate, Senator Lambert, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Hill, Senator Baumgardner. Please add the President. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title of the Senate Bill 61?
Senate Bill 61 by Senators Sonnenberg and Grantham and Representative Lawrence, concerning a reduction of the state income tax rate and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 61 on third reading and final passage.
Senator Court.
Thank you, Mr. President. Okay, folks, the last one just cost us, if it were to pass ultimately, $77 million. This one's going to cost us over a total of 3 years, $920 million. Yeah, exactly. How many teachers does that reduce the state by? How many miles of roads is that going to take away? Folks, this is truly fiscally irresponsible to suggest that we can permanently, because it would take a vote of the people to change it, and that would be hard-pressed to have happen, reduce the income tax rate for our general fund. $920 million over a total of 3 years, which we simply cannot afford. This is for services. This is why government exists, to provide services. Taxes plus fees equal services. If we don't collect the taxes and fees, we don't provide the services. It's very basic. And teachers need to be paid more, not just what they're being paid. Roads cost a lot. Asphalt is a volatile expense. So, folks, this is a completely inappropriate suggestion. We cannot let this become law. I urge a no vote.
Senator, is there any further discussion? Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. What this bill does is take an 11.8% increase in money to the state of Colorado and make it an 8.3%. Allows 3.4% of that increase to stay in the taxpayer's pocket. And again, remember, that's their money. That's the taxpayers and constituents of Colorado's money. We shouldn't keep it. We should allow them to spend it on the services that they want rather than government telling them the services that they need. It's their money, folks. Let's give it back to them. Ask for an aye vote.
Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Mr. President.
That'll only be $2.
Mr. President, unfortunately, I rise in opposition to the bill that has your name on it in front of us. And we were just told that this bill simply lowers the increase in spending from 11% to 8%. While that is true for next year, this year, it actually cuts a budget that we passed last year. So if you all turn to your fiscal note and look at fiscal year 2017-2018, and in case you're calendar deficient, 2017 already happened and we're already well into 2018. That is the current fiscal year. We need to cut, if this bill passes, signed into law, we need to cut $190 million out of this year's budget, not out of next year's 11% or 8% increase, this year's budget. And when I come down here to ask where cuts are coming from, I'm not talking about any increase in the budget and the budget we just passed a few weeks ago, which is next year's budget. I need to know so I can explain to my constituents, some of whom are visiting us here on the floor this morning, I need to explain to my constituents where we as a Senate are going to cut $190 million out of this fiscal year's budget. which is about 3/4 over. We only have a couple more months in this fiscal year. Where are we going to cut $190 million? We are constitutionally obligated to balance our budget. If this bill passes, if you vote for this bill today, you owe an explanation to your constituents where that $190 million of cuts, not a cut to an increase, which was explained going forward. I'm talking about this current budget year that we are in right now.
Senator, can I interrupt you for a moment? Colleagues, we're on third reading. Can you keep the chatter down?
Thank you, Mr. President. So we owe it to our constituents to explain our intent on cutting this current budget that we're in right now to the tune of $190 million. Is that coming out of health care? Is that coming out of public health? Is that coming out of our K-12 education? Is that coming out of our higher education? Again, not a future increase are we talking about. We are talking about this budget that we passed last year, not the budget, the balanced budget that we all just voted on a few weeks ago, and which Mr. President, I proudly stood with you and voted for that balanced budget a few weeks ago. But it's $190 million. Where are we going to cut that? If we can have that explanation as to, and again, not future cuts, not future years, this year, where's our intent? Are we going to ask the governor to bring us back into special session to deal with that $190 million cut to this year's budget? How are we going to deal with that? Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to address these questions that we just heard posed here, and I am in strong support of this bill because even as we discussed with the last one, ultimately when we talk about taxes, we're talking about dollars in the pockets of the people of Colorado that we, through the power of the police powers of the state, which simply means we have the authority to say, you will give it to us. And yet, in looking at the fiscal note on this, the senator from Lakewood is quite correct that the fiscal note says this bill reduces general fund revenue by an estimated $190 million in the current fiscal year. But I'm scratching my head as to where in the world that came from, because the bill reduces the state income tax rate starting in 2018, but the collection of the income tax is actually squared up in 2019, and the dollars that we are spending for this year's budget have been essentially collected. Now, if there's, I can see that there could be a wrinkle in the withholding rates for the next few months, but as far as the cash flow mechanism, I'm finding a hard time understanding how the fiscal note came that way. But let's talk about if this becomes law. If it becomes law, that means it goes through both houses. And as the chairman of the Appropriations Committee, where we look at this very carefully, and we follow this, I can assure the good senator from Lakewood that this shouldn't require a special session. What it would require is for a little bit of heavy lifting in the last 3 weeks on our part in the legislature, which I am quite willing to do if the House, if this body accepts Senate Bill 61 and the House does the same, and the governor is inclined to allow the people this tax relief. I believe it's a very appropriate thing, because we've heard this discussion at this microphone this morning. Is government there to provide all the services? Is that the fundamental purpose of government? Or is the fundamental purpose of government to secure the God-given rights of the individual citizens, being life and liberty, and the ability to own and control your private property? Because that's what the fundamental documents for this nation say. And I, for one, raised my right hand and said I will follow and obey those, and furthermore, I believe in them. I don't believe that government exists to just be the ever-abundant giver of services. Yeah, that's a role that we balance out, but we balance that with the cold, hard reality, cold and hard for some, I'd say warm and fuzzy for others, that our real goal is to empower citizens by allowing them to live their lives as they work that out. And that doesn't mean taxing them into the ground. And in today's tax environment, for most families where mom and dad both work, one of them is just paying the tax bill, and that's too much. And that's why I support Senate Bill 61.
Senator Kagan.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is my 10th year down here. But it's the first year where we've really started to refunding our pension system. We're really starting to repair our roads. We're really starting to fund adequately our schools. We're making progress. And the reason that they are all so badly underfunded is because some 20 years ago, we decided 5% was too much of an income tax to pay. We were going to drop it down to 4.63. And we're still paying the price for that mistake. Now, as to the question, whose money is it? Of course it's the taxpayers' money. Whose roads are they that the taxpayers are buying? They are the taxpayers' roads. Whose schools are they? They are the taxpayers' schools. Of course this money is not coming to us. We are administering the public purchases of public goods and public services. And to suggest that we are taking money out of taxpayers' pockets for our purposes is absolutely wrong. What we are doing is we are, as a state, saying, as a people, through our elected representatives, we want to collectively buy roads and schools and police protection and all the other things that government organizes for the people they represent. So we're not talking about taking money away from somebody, we're talking about buying something. And we have shortchanged those public goods and those public services for years now, and we're starting, finally, to build back up so that we'll have, if we are steadfast, good schools, we'll have good transportation infrastructure, we'll have adequate court facilities in which to hear the people's disputes, and so on and so forth. That is the burden that we must carry down here. How to use the public money for the public good. And when we say, as soon as a little more comes in, okay, we'll shift that away from public expenses and give it for private use, then guess what happens? You get terrible schools, you get terrible roads, you get terrible public services, and then we'll only have ourselves to blame. So don't go down this road, members. Do vote no on this bill.
Senator Marble.
Thank you, Mr. President. As my colleague from Denver stated, over the next 3 years, $920 million will be lost to the state, and with Senate Bill 77, it was around $77 million that was going to be lost to the state. Well, you know what? Colorado, let's go shopping, because that puts $997 million of purchasing power back into working Coloradoans. We got to understand that that $997 million of shopping opportunity is also an opportunity for government to collect taxes on each transaction that the consumer makes in recirculating that $997 million. Every transaction is an ability for the state to get those taxes. So this isn't really getting rid of anything. It's just giving more power for the person to make the choices they want to make on what they are going to buy and the decisions they are going to make to increase their quality of life in the way they see fit. And you know what else is important about this? Businesses can stay open and vibrant because more money is becoming through their doors. Just because we're cutting taxes in one area doesn't mean that Colorado isn't going to get their money. The state of Colorado is going to be alive and well if you let the people go shopping. So I would say a yes on Senate Bill 61 is not only a great vote for those people to increase on their own choice, their quality of life, but also it gives the state of Colorado the opportunity to collect taxes time and time and time again on money that is recirculated through the pockets of those consumers. So I'm a heck of a yes vote.
I had Senator Neville next. Senator Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, members, when I hear these bills, I often wonder if there's a way to have the tax cut apply to people who vote for these things and their constituents. Because I don't hear this in my district. What I hear in my district is there aren't enough teachers and classroom sizes are too large. What I hear is that we're not getting our fair share of transportation money, which we're not. And we need more money for transit. What I hear is that we need money for programs that help people have affordable housing and attainable housing. What I hear is that we need to find a way to get people on their feet so that they can have a good life. And the government should help that where it makes sense. I hear just the opposite. This notion of going shopping, great, go shopping, but my district and the people there are very concerned about their children's future, the class sizes, the ability to afford college, CU, CSU, UNC. And why, I had this at the town hall the other night, why in the world are we in such a financial mess? And why are we the only state in the nation that has these restrictions? Because they know it affects them directly and hurts their families, increases their commute time, increases their time in congestion, makes them more concerned about their child's future. We should be going the opposite way of this, in my mind, than what this bill does and what the previous bill did. And if people want to cut taxes in their own district, maybe they should run a bill like that. But I tell you what, my district doesn't say this, so I ask for a no vote on this.
Is there any further discussion? Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. well, I appreciate the comments from my colleague from Boulder County. And I would say yes, if Boulder County wishes to increase the tax rates on Boulder County, if individuals wish to, through largesse and through benevolence, pull out their checkbook and write a check to the government and feel that that is going to be helping the cause with a donation. Oh, but wait a second, we don't do donations to government, we do donations to charities. So government has a different way of doing it. Government is the only legal entity that can come and dip into your pocketbook and actually require you to give up your property through the threat of force. Now, that is a role of government, good or bad. Now, the question is what happens to that money after that? And we've had some conversation in this body, and we will continue having conversation about where that money is spent. I appreciate the good senator from Boulder County and his constituents, because my constituents ask the same thing. Why are we in this mess? Well, colleagues, we're not in this mess because government doesn't get enough of the taxpayers' money. We're in this mess because we haven't been able to figure out how to actually prioritize what money should be spent where and have that fiscal discipline and that political discipline to spend money in the proper role of government as opposed to expanding the role of government into areas that may not be proper or to degrees that may not be proper. That's the challenge. That's the challenge. And there is definitely a difference. We have a difference in philosophy. Many of us believe that the best things in life are provided by families through hard work and individual effort. Others believe that government has a role in making people's lives better, and it is the tool, one of the key tools that makes people's lives better. Somewhere in between those two, there is a happy medium. I don't believe we're at that happy medium in Colorado. I look forward to fighting every day to get us to that happy medium, allowing a small amount to stay in the pockets of taxpayers in a year where we're seeing a huge injection of dollars into the state of Colorado seems like a positive move. And it also shows people what character we have here in saying, yes, we believe in you and we trust you. And we believe that that total 1% of the budget or whatever, yes, we can find even savings by acting more efficiently in eliminating programs. Oh my gosh, imagine that. Eliminating programs that do not add value to their lives or may be outdated or inefficient. That's a challenge. That's what this vote is about. It's okay to vote yes or no, but that's what this vote is about. I urge and I vote.
Senator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. President. I urge everyone here in this chamber to vote no on Senate Bill 61. We just heard the good senator from Douglas County talk about how when he's out in his community, they say, how do we get into this mess? And when I'm out and about in my community, they're asking me how to serve. How can I help them? That's what they're asking. And I don't think it's just unique to my community when they ask me, how can I help? As I serve in this chambers. And the way they're asking for help is for us to fund education at an adequate level. And when you look at what this tax cut will do, it will really have a serious impact on how we fund our schools. They're asking me, how can I help you to make sure that our schools are funded adequately? This budget cut or this tax cut is not going to help that. They're asking me, when we start looking at planning for the future of Colorado, they don't see a tax cut in the future, like the one that's being proposed in this bill, Senate Bill 61. They're asking me, how can I help with making sure that housing is affordable? They're not asking for an income tax cut. They're asking to be able to access higher education and asking me, how can they help me as I serve to make sure that higher education is affordable for all? They're not telling me that it's a mess, how do we get into this scenario? But they are asking for access to health care and asking me, how can I help them to be able to get the access to health care that they need? This bill will create a mess. Because when you look at the amount of tax cuts, it is going to have an impact in how we budget and plan moving forward. It's going to have an impact in reference to corrections, who is constantly asking us for additional money. Where the money is going to come from if we do this tax cut? So members, I urge you to think twice about the serious crisis that you would cause in our schools, in higher education, in public safety, in corrections, local affairs. Every corner of every aspect of the departments that we fund will be impacted by this severe cut. So members, I urge a no vote on this bill, Senate Bill 61.
Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. Happy Thursday. I rise in opposition to this proposal of Senate Bill 61, and the reason I am opposed to it is a couple of things that we've all said. What is the purpose of government? What is our calling? How and why do we spend as much time as we do in committees and discuss what are the needs for our state? If the purpose of government is only for roads and bridges, we'd only have a transportation committee. If the purpose of government is only for education, we would only have an education committee. If the purpose of government is only for business, we would only have a business committee. We have committees that stretch across all of the different needs because those are the needs of the people of our state. So, as I said the other day, and I'll repeat myself again, I'm in this for the bigger whole, for all of Colorado. I'm not in here just to advocate for me, for my family, for my community, but for the entire state. So when I look at who benefits from some of the things that we have voted on, and I know we throw the term around, we spend like drunken sailors. Well, I'm not quite sure what drunken sailors prioritize and what their values are, but I do know what the values of most of us are, and it is for the well-being of each and every one of the citizens in our state. So when I look at making sure that we are taking care of those that are more vulnerable, be it the disabled, be it our elderly, be it those that are poor, that are struggling economically, who have lost a job, who can't afford health care, those are the people that I believe I can be a voice for. I believe in personal responsibility. I was a tough teacher. It was really hard for a student to ever say why they didn't get their homework turned in. I held them at a high standard. I think we hold our citizens at a high standard. And so when we look at the budget and we look at the way we are spending all of our money, we have got to quit talking about them and us. We're all in this together, folks. The tax dollar is from each and every one of us to invest in making a stronger state and to make us a stronger people. And for some people, they need more help. They need more support to get on their own feet, to be able to have a job, to be able to make sure that someone is taking good care of their children so they can work during the day, to make sure that transportation is feasible and affordable so that they can get to and from work. They can get to and from doctors. There is no one cookie-cutter plan for how to run a state. It is through collaboration, it is through conversation, and it is through looking at a wide cross-section of the needs of our state. As I said the other day, I may never need the services that someone else may need to function fully. I know I've carried legislation for spinal cord injuries, for disabled, for children who are in need of additional services in our schools. I may not personally need that, but by gum, I'm going to invest in giving those quality services to those who need them so that they can rise up and they can function wholly. That is the purpose of government in my eyes. It is being responsible. It is not spending foolishly. When we have citizens come and testify before a committee because they believe that their cause is necessary, that's the voice of the people. The government is the people, by the people, for the people, we the people. So the us and them is not a conversation that moves Colorado forward. We are in this together. And by the grace of God, we have been given more financial wealth this year. Let's be responsible. I believe we have been. Each and every one of us has been able to speak on that behalf. Yesterday in education, we heard about rural districts who are benefiting richly from the BEST program. It was exciting to hear their gratitude and their thankfulness of saying, thank you, government, thank you, Colorado, for coming alongside of us to help pay for a building that is filled with bats, asbestos, and the roof falling down. Thank you, Colorado, for standing with us. That's a valid program. Do I personally benefit from it? Yes, I do, because I'm a member of Colorado and I am a part of the solution for the whole state. This is important as to any bill, any piece of legislation that we vote for. Think beyond ourselves, look at the whole of the state of Colorado. How do we continue to support our people and move the state forward? Thank you, Mr. President. And again, I urge a no vote on Senate Bill 61.
Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I think you're seeing so much debate today because this goes to a core tenet of ideology that separates our two parties. For me, it's taken me back to my political philosophy days in college, where I learned that taxes are the price you pay for living in a governed and civilized society, with all of the infrastructure and opportunities and amenities that come along with that society. Taxes are the price we pay. The other thing I want to speak to is I think I've heard a lot recently in our debates about this false notion that you're supposed to get out of government exactly what you pay in. That's never how it was meant to work. It was meant that we all pay in, and for the collective benefit of everyone, we then invest in our priorities. We invest in transportation, we invest in education, we invest in healthcare. And we all take care of one another through those programs. If this bill passes today, it means less of those programs are available. And it means we say in a small way that we don't want to take care of those folks who need a little bit more help. I'm not willing to say that, and for that reason, I will be a no on this bill.
Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good discussion. And it does actually, as my good friend that serves on JBC talked about, obviously a difference in philosophies. Because as we heard the conversation that said what services we provide, we actually don't provide many of those services. We regulate those services to make it more expensive for people to do business. Let me go back and talk a little bit about the $1.3 billion surplus that we have this year. $1.3 billion surplus, $450 million, we all agreed, are going to roads. $150 million above the base going to education. Leaves $300 million for those services or pet projects. And then $378 million to go back to the people of Colorado in their pockets. That's $274 for a family of four. What could you do with $274? Or, as my colleague talked about over the next 3 years, $959 for a family of four. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of an opportunity to brag here. I have a new grandson of last night, and my son and his wife, I think, can spend that $274 better than we can. Matter of fact, they're going to have to because of those services, those regulations that we put on daycare. My family can't afford daycare. Rural Colorado, you can't pay for daycare. That's what we provided with these services. We provided more bureaucracy to make it more difficult to do business and make it more expensive. This isn't a crisis, this is an opportunity. An opportunity to give the taxpayers' money of Colorado back to them so they can purchase the services that they see fit, not what government tells them the services that they need. This is indeed for all of Colorado. This tax cut is for every constituent and taxpayer in Colorado so that they can spend their money on what they see fit rather than us telling them what services they need and that we will provide them for them. Ladies and gentlemen, the right thing to do is to give the people of Colorado at least a small portion, 0.2% of their money back. Ask for your aye vote.
Senator Merrifield.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I'll be really brief. I was getting so many notes from my colleague from Jefferson County that I really couldn't take them all. So hopefully she will come up and present all the tax credits that we give to corporations that has nothing to do with benefiting the common working family. But what I was coming down to say, when I heard the term surplus, I just was trying to remember just a logical definition of surplus would be when all your debts are paid. If you have a credit card, you've paid off all your debts, then you've got a surplus. We don't have a surplus here. We have an over $800 million debt to schools. We have a $9 billion debt to our highways, maintenance costs. We have the highest tuition for colleges in the country. We've got debt. We got no surplus. We need to continue to pay down our debt while we have an opportunity to do so. We got a raise. You don't throw that raise away. You invest it and take care of the indebtedness that you have. Until we have no debt, we've got no surplus.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 61. Are there any no votes? Senator Jones, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Fields, Senator Kafalas, Senator Guzman, Leader Garcia, Senator Kagan, Senator Moreno, Senator Aguilar, Senator Donovan, Senator Court, Senator Williams, Senator Todd, Senator Merrifield, Senator Kerr, Senator Fenberg, Senator John. With 18 ayes, 17 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 61 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Tate, Senator Cook, Senator Scott, Senator Hill, Senator Neville, Senator Crowder, Senator Marble, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Priola, Senator Lundberg, Senator Smallwood, Senator Gardner, Senator Lambert. Majority Leader Holbert. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 228?
Senate Bill 228 by Senator Hill and Representative Van Winkle concerning improving school choice in traditional schools of a school district.
Senator Hill.
Thanks, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 228 and ask for your support, colleagues, to really improve school choice access within the traditional public school system without costing Colorado a single penny.
Is there any further discussion? Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President. And once again, as I said, I think yesterday or day before when we discussed Senate Bill 228, this can be done through local control, making agreements. We've seen it through Sheridan and Englewood being able to do that. There's no reason other districts can't do that. And so making partnerships, making agreements to be able to make that available for an individual student if a district wants to take on paying for their transportation. That can be done at a local level. So I urge a no vote on Senate Bill 228. And again, let it be solved at the level where the issue is being a challenge. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion for the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 228. Are there any no votes? Senator Jones, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Fields, Senator Kafalas, Senator Guzman, Leader Garcia, Senator Fenberg, Senator Kerr, Senator Court, Senator Kagan, Senator Moreno, Senator Aguilar, Senator Donovan, Senator Williams, Senator Todd, Senator Merrifield. 19 ayes, 16 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused. Senate Bill 228 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Majority Leader Holbert, Senator Neville, Senator Scott, Senator Priola, Senator Marble, Senator Smallwood, Senator Lambert, Senator Lundberg, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Crowder, Senator Cook, Senator Gardner, Senator Tate, please add the President. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of House Bill 1300.
House Bill 1300 by Representatives Young and Buck and Senators Marble and Cook concerning granting authority for local district colleges to provide a Bachelor of Science degree in nursing program as a completion degree to students who have or are pursuing an associate degree in nursing.
Senator Marble.
Thank you, Mr. President. We move House Bill 1300 on third reading and final passage and ask for your aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? The motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1300. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1300 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Crowder, Senator Neville, Senator Scott, Senator Coram, Senator Gardner, Senator Smallwood, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Lundberg, Senator Tate, Senator Lambert, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Merrifield, Senator John, Senator Todd, Senator Williams, Senator Aguilar, Senator Moreno, Senator Jones, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Fields, Senator Kafalas, Leader Garcia, Senator Kerr, Senator Hill, please add the president. Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Having voted with all of you on the prevailing side, I move for immediate reconsideration of House Bill 1300.
The motion is to move to immediate reconsideration on House Bill 1300. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and we will move to immediate reconsideration. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title to House Bill 1300?
House Bill 1300 by Representatives Young and Buck and Senators Marble and Cook concerning granting authority for local district colleges to provide a Bachelor of Science degree in nursing program as completion degree to students who have or are pursuing an associate degree in nursing.
Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. President. We move House Bill 1300 and ask for a favorable vote on third reading and final passage.
Is there any further discussion? The motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1300. Are there any no vote? Senator Kagan. And Senator Priola.
Ah. Strange.
Yeah, just strange.
Are there any more no votes? With 33 ayes, 2 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1300 is adopted. If you co-sponsored it the last time, you don't need to co-sponsor it. Add Senator Sonnenberg. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title of House Bill 1284?
House Bill 1284 by Representatives Buckner and Wilson and Senators Martinez-Humenick and Kafalas concerning the cost of prescription drugs purchased at a pharmacy.
Senator Martinez-Humenick.
Thank you, Mr. President. We move House Bill 1284 and on third and final passage and ask for aye votes.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1284? The motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1284. Are there any no votes? Senator Hill. With 34 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1284 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Lundberg, Senator Lambert, Senator John, Senator Merrifield, Senator Todd, Senator Williams, Senator Aguilar, Senator Moreno, Senator Kagan, Senator Court, Senator Neville, Senator Fields, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Jones, Senator Marble, Senator Tate. Please add the president. Senator Kerr and Senator Donovan. General order, second reading of bills. 220. Oh. Mr. Carpenter, could you please read the title to Senate Bill 223?
Senate Bill 223 by Senator Gardner and Representatives Gray and Carver concerning the circumstances under which an autopsy report prepared in connection with the death of a minor may be released to certain parties.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 223 and the most erudite, detailed committee from the Senate Judiciary, committee report from Senate Judiciary Committee. I moved it. Did they all in the report? Oh.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you. Well, I'm about a day behind, Mr. President, so my apologies. I'm trying to do the Judiciary Committee report again. I move Senate Bill 223 on third reading.
There we go. Any discussion? Senator Kafalis or Senator Gardner?
Thank you. Well, thank you, Mr. President. The reason I was a day behind was because this was on consent calendar for second reading. My colleague from Fort Collins has asked that it be removed from consent so we could discuss it. What this bill is, members, before I yield to my colleague, is a bill concerning the circumstances under which autopsy reports on minor deaths may be released to certain parties. And what it really is a restriction on their release. The Judiciary Committee report had some exceptions. This is a tough balance because these autopsy reports, often involving teen suicides, deaths resulting from overdose, and all sorts of things which bring a lot of pain and tragedy to families, are currently available under the Open Records Act. And there are those, and often because of needs that they believe are about transparency, ask for these reports. We have to strike a balance between whether the reports are releasable or not. Some 26 states have restrictions on these releases, so the county coroners came to me. All 64 of them agree that there should be restrictions on this, and we heard it in Judiciary. I yield to my friend and colleague from Fort Collins to give you the opposing, perhaps not even opposing view, but a different viewpoint of what is something we deal with and dealt with a lot under the Open Records Act bill last year. To my colleague.
Senator Kafalis.
Thank you, Mr. President, and much appreciation, gratitude to the good senator from El Paso County for this opportunity to have a brief discussion on Senate Bill 223. This bill, I think, is an example of a bill that's important. It perhaps has gone under the radar screen. I appreciate the comments from the good senator. It was brought to my attention by the Colorado Freedom of Information Coalition, and as one that there could be some legitimate concerns about this bill. As one who has worked on the Colorado Open Records Act issues over the last number of years, I felt it was a responsibility to make some points and express some concerns so ultimately folks can make informed decisions. And the points that I wish to make are that, first of all, Colorado law already allows coroners to seek a court order to seal an autopsy report. It was done in the case of the Columbine tragedy. Autopsy reports are an important tool of transparency for the public to understand and evaluate the work of various public officials and public agencies, human services, police, prosecutors, coroners. Something that comes close to my heart because I've worked on these issues in the past, but the state's child fatality review system was reformed in the wake of groundbreaking media series that told the stories of 72 children who were killed after entering the human services system. Without access to autopsy reports, those stories would not have been told, and necessary reforms likely would not have occurred. Those are children with no voice in our society. How can the public better understand? How can the public understand important issues such as SIDS, drug overdose, without an understanding of what is actually happening in Colorado? It is my opinion that if this bill becomes law, and I suspect it will, the bill is bound to have a big impact on Colorado news organizations that report on public safety, the criminal justice system, and the welfare of our children. That is all I have to say, colleagues. Again, I appreciate this opportunity. This helps to explain why I'll be voting no on Senate Bill 223, and I offer this information to add to the discourse and deliberation and help you to make an informed decision on this bill. Thank you.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I thank the senator from Fort Collins for the discussion. I quite candidly thought long and hard about this bill and the balance that we have to strike between protecting the privacy of families who've lost a child and transparency in the interest of preventing future deaths and tragedies. I would point out that exceptions in the bill for release of the report to those agencies that deal in the matters raised by the senator are the Colorado Child Fatality Review Team will continue to receive the report in a confidential way. County Department of Human or Social Services in connection with an investigation. Division of Youth Services and the Department of Human Services with any investigation of a fatality occurring in a state facility. We will continue to have a release of the reports to local or regional domestic violence fatality review teams. There are multiple exceptions for release, but release in a confidential fashion to those that we ask in our agencies to review just the things that are raised as concerns. And so on balance, having talked to the coroners who have to, required to by law to deal with the families and often to give the notification of death, I ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Senator Kafalis.
Thank you kindly, Mr. President. Just my last comments. I appreciate what was just said. And indeed, the amendments in the committee, I believe these occurred in the Senate Judiciary Committee, have improved the bill. And in particular, I appreciate the fact that in the introduced version of the bill, one of the exemptions was a local or regional child fatality prevention review team established in law a number of years ago, but they did add, as was indicated, the statewide child fatality review team, which was more recently added in the last couple of years. So all of these things are important. I just want folks to remember that in the end, this bill will make it more difficult for the media, for the press to be able to access information in order to do the types of investigative reporting that are very helpful to the public and to us as lawmakers. Thank you.
Senator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. President. And members, I do support this bill, Senate Bill 18223. I had a chance to talk to my coroner about this bill, and this bill was something that was discussed over the summer. So the request comes from a coroner because he understands the issues that are related to sharing or having access to this data, which is very harmful to families. And so what this bill does, it provides an opportunity to still provide access to the autopsy report under very specific criteria. But it seals the request for press. And I think that's the right thing to do, because when you lose a child, when you lose a minor, and a lot goes on, and what you want to do is to protect the dignity of what are the circumstances regarding the death of that minor. So this protects our kids, it protects our family, and it still protects and provides access to people who should legitimately have the information. So I urge an aye vote on Senate Bill 223.
Is there any further discussion? The motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 223. Are there any no votes? Senator Kafalis. With 30, Senator Donovan. Senator Kerr. With 32 ayes, 3 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 223 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Crowder, Senator Neville, Senator Tate, Senator Smallwood, Senator Lambert, Senator Marble, Senator Cook, Senator Todd. Please add the President. Senator Scott. General Order, second reading of bills. Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the purpose of general order, second reading of bills.
Motion before the body is for the Senate to resolve itself from the Committee of the Whole for consideration of the General Order's second reading of bills calendar. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for consideration of the General Order's second reading of bills calendar. Senator Neville will take the chair.
You gotta lay them over.
Committee will come to order. Court rules relaxed. Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to lay over Senate Bill 235 to Thursday, April 26th.
Motion is to lay over Senate Bill 235 to Thursday, January 26th. All those in favor, Senator.
April 26th.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, April 26th. That'd be a long layover. The motion before the body is to lay over Senate Bill 235 to April 26th, Thursday. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. 235 will be laid over till April 26th. Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to lay over Senate Bill 230 to Monday, April 23rd.
The motion is to lay over Senate Bill 230 to Monday, April 23rd. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. And Senate Bill 230 will be laid over till Monday, the 23rd. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title of House Bill 1270?
House Bill 1270 by Representatives Hansen and Becker J. and Senator Tate concerning energy storage and in connection therewith requiring the Public Utilities Commission to establish mechanisms for investor-owned electric utilities to procure energy storage systems if certain criteria are satisfied.
Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1270 in the committee report.
To the committee report.
In the committee report, we had an amendment passed in which I deleted something that I shouldn't have and forgot to add something that I should have and didn't delete something that I should have. So therefore, I have an amendment. But anyways, that will be coming subsequent to the adoption of the report. So heads up, folks.
Interesting. The motion before the body, is there any further discussion on the Agricultural, Natural Resources, and Energy report, committee report? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of the committee report. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Committee report is adopted. We have an amendment on the desk. Mr. Carpenter, please read L007.
Amendment L007, House Bill 1270 by Senator Tatum in the Agricultural, Natural Resources, and Energy.
Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move L007, House Bill 1270.
To the amendment, Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In this amendment, three things. This is an energy storage bill. This is about the capability for having the ability to store electrons, have it be a rate case with the PUC, and applying a cost-benefit analysis to the storage of electrons. And so this amendment on line 12 of the bill adds the word added because Ultimately, in a cost-benefit analysis, you're interested in both reduced or added costs. It eliminates item D on the cost-benefit analysis required list by removing a line related to pollutants, which would be very difficult to quantify in terms of the actual cost-benefit analysis for the rate case. And then finally, the amendment restores a 15 megawatt cap, which was in the bill coming over to the Senate. I deleted that in committee, or I should say the committee deleted that, and this amendment reinstates the 15 megawatt cap that was in the House version of the bill. Urge and I vote on the amendment.
Is there further discussion on 007? Senator Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, having just looked at this, the benefits, where does it go? So it strikes the benefits arising from reduction of the emissions of air pollutants. So would we want to know the benefits of reducing air pollutants as far as choices we make?
Senator Tate.
Sure. But this list is a cost-benefit list of requirements that the PUC would have to, and the utilities would have to be engaged in for making the rate case. That information, Senator, would certainly be interesting and helpful, I'm sure, and I would assume it'd be a part of any deliberation.
Is there further discussion on 007? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of L007. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. 007 is adopted. To the bill, Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Quite simply, this is not about how you make electrons or where you make electrons. This is about how and where you store electrons for later use. And energy storage isn't anything new. There's lots of ways to store energy. You can pump water up a hill and run it down the hill later. You can store heat in the ground. In addition, in terms of managing utility loads, you can hold off having a load till later on. So this really is a good bill. It helps deal with load factor issues as well as helps users get the most cost-effective electrons possible. Urge and I vote. Thank you.
Is there further discussion on House Bill 1270? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1270. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. House Bill 1270 is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of Senate Bill 233.
Senate Bill 233 by Senators Marble and Finberg and Representatives Foote and Neville concerning technical modifications to miscellaneous provisions of the Uniform Election Code of 1992.
Senator Finberg and Senator Marble. Senator Marble.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Chair. We move Senate Bill 233 and the committee report.
To the committee report. Senator Finberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The committee report from State Veterans and Military Affairs really just further cleaned up what is a cleanup bill. Really is just further in the spirit of what the bill is overall, which is technical pieces of our election code. It mostly deletes a piece of leftover statute that should have been in the original bill but wasn't, and it refers to something that is actually obsolete based on previous legislation, so it has no real impact on the policy on a practical sense, but it cleans up our election code a bit more.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of State Veteran Military Committee report. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The report is adopted. To the bill. Senator Marble.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Basically, my colleague had summed it up pretty well. This is a cleanup bill, and we could spend the next half hour going through it piece by piece, but we are going to save you that And just ask once again for an aye vote and move Senate Bill 233.
Is there any further discussion on 003? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption. I'm sorry, 233, apologize. Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 233? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 233. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 233 is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of SCR 003.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 003 by Senators Marble and Finberg and Representative Sane and Pabon.
Senator Marble.
Registered electors of the state of Colorado, an amendment to the Colorado Constitution concerning changing the industrial hemp definition from constitutional definition to a statutory definition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senate Concurrent Resolution 003 passed unanimously out of committee, and it is also probably the only piece of legislation going through this year that has every signature on it from the Senate, and we are so proud of that. 003 does have an amendment, and we should move that, maybe? We move L001.
To L001. Senator Marble.
I didn't, yeah, well, we moved Senate Concurrent Resolution 003 and L001. L001 was brought to our attention by the Department of Ag. There has been a heck of a lot of movement in the hemp industry on the federal level just in the last few weeks. And in that, where they have taken hemp off of the Schedule I substance group, they will also be doing away with what we referenced on page 2, line 16, as 7 USC section 5940 B2. Well, we're just striking that and substituting federal law. And on page 2, we're striking the line and just adding statute. So we are bringing our definition of hemp into statute so that we can be ready to adjust our THC limit in hemp to adhere to automatically adjust to federal THC limits, which will be coming. And this will keep us as a state is #1 in hemp production in the state, in the whole United States. There has been absolutely no opposition to this concurrent resolution.
Is there further discussion on 001? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of L001. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and L001 is adopted. Senator Marble or Senator Fenberg?
You want to remove it?
You can remove it.
Senator Fenberg.
Chair, we remove Senate Concurrent Resolution 003.
Is there further discussion on Senate Concurrent Resolution 003? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of SCR 003. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. 003 is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of Senate Bill 163.
Senate Bill 163 by Senators Martinez, Hemiek, and Merrifield and Representatives Pedersen and Wilson concerning an extension of the repeal of the Early Childhood and School Readiness Legislative Commission.
Senator Merrifield.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 163 and the Appropriations Committee report.
To the committee report.
I'd like to allow my colleague to explain the committee report since she was there, I think, and I was not.
Senator Martinez, Humanic.
Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. What the committee report states is that the commission may meet at least 4 times annually, except that the commission shall not meet unless Ledge Council approves meetings during the interim pursuant to 2-3-303.3 or the commission receives administrative support from a nonprofit or organization or government entity. And this was put on, I believe, to take off the fiscal note. This commission actually does meet during the interim, so a letter has been submitted with a request for Ledge Council staffing for this next interim.
Is there further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the motion is for the body is the adoption of the committee report. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Ayes have it. The committee report is adopted. Senator Merrifield.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The bill simply extends the repeal date for the Early Childhood and School Readiness Legislative Commission to July 1st, 2023. It's been a very effective and needed interim committee, and I would ask for your approval to continue it.
Senator Martinez-Jimenez.
And just as a side note, this is a bipartisan committee of legislators.
The motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 163. Those in favor say, I'm sorry, is there further discussion? The motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 163. Are there those in favor say aye? Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and 163 is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of Senate Bill 59.
Senate Bill 59 by Senator Fields and Representative Pabon concerning creation of a public safety information sharing system.
Senator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 1859 and the Judicial and the Appropriation Report.
To the Judiciary Report.
The Judiciary Report just adds informations and procedures outlined for the grant sharing program for the Public Safety Information System. Ask for an aye vote.
Motion before the body is the adoption of the committee report. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The Judiciary Report is adopted, and to the Appropriations Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Appropriation Reports just outline the funding for the program. Ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion on appropriations. Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of the Appropriations Report. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Appropriations Report is adopted. Senator Fields to the bill.
Mr. Chair, I have an amendment. It should be at the desk. I'd like to move Amendment L013.
To the amendment.
Members, this amendment is a technical amendment for the Department of Public Safety, just granting procedures outlined to fund the program.
Is there any What's that? I'm sorry. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of L013.
Amendment L013, Senate Bill 59 by Senator Fields, amend the Judiciary Committee report dated March 5th, 2018, page 3, strike lines 19 to 20, substitute website any applicant.
Senator Fields. Renew your motion, Senator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, I'd like to move Amendment L001. Basically, it's a technical amendment requesting the Department of Safety that they would clarify appeals processes outlined before any grants are awarded. I ask for an aye vote.
Senator, that's L013.
Yes.
Is there any further discussion on L013? The motion before the body is the adoption of L013. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. L013 is adopted. Senator Fields, anything else?
No, thank you. I move.
To the bill, the motion before the body now is the adoption of Senate Bill 59. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. Senate Bill 59 is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of Senate Bill 16.
Senate Bill 16 by Senators Martinez-Jimenez and Fields and Representative Singer concerning the repeal date for the transfer of money from community corrections to the housing assistance for persons transitioning from the criminal or juvenile justice system cash fund.
Senator Martinez-Jimenez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We move Senate Bill 16 and the Appropriations Committee report.
To the committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The committee report from Appropriations added in $60,788 for full FTE to implement what needs to be done with this program.
Is there further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of the Appropriations Committee report. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Ayes have it. The committee report is adopted to the bill. Senator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We move Senate Bill 18013 with your 16 with your favorable recommendation.
16, Senator.
SB 16.
Is there a discussion on Senate Bill 16? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 16. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 16 is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of House Bill 1335.
House Bill 1335 by Representative Young and Senator Lundberg concerning the Colorado Child Care Assistance Program and in connection therewith establishing eligibility requirements for all counties and creating a new formula to determine the amount of block grants to counties.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1335 and the Appropriations Committee reports. There it is.
I don't think you have an Appropriations Committee report, Senator.
Vote on it.
It's one of those ones that we didn't let you see in appropriations, I guess, your own bill.
If that is what your records say, that is so then. I simply move House Bill 1335.
Is there further discussion on House Bill 1335? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1335. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. House Bill 1335 is adopted. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion before the body is for the committee to rise and report. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. Committee will rise and report.
Senate will come back to order. Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the report?
Mr. President, your committee of the whole begs lead reports out on consideration of the following tax bills being the second reading thereof makes the following recommendation on Senate Bill 233 as amended, Senate Concurrent Resolution 3 as amended, Senate Bill 163 as amended, Senate Bill 59 as amended, Senate Bill 16 as amended, passed second read order and gross placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1270 as amended, House Bill 1335 passed second read order revised, placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 230 laid over until 4/23/18, retaining its place on the calendar. Senate Bill 235 laid over until 4/26/18, retaining its place on the calendar.
Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the committee report.
Motion before the body is the adoption of the report to the committee of the whole. Are there any no votes? 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused. The committee of the whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 233 is amended. Senate Concurrent Resolution 3 is amended. Senate Bill 163 is amended. Senate Bill 59 is amended. Senate Bill 16 is amended. Passed on second reading, ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1270 is amended. House Bill 1335 passed on second reading, ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 230 laid over until 4/23/18, retaining its place on the calendar. Senate Bill 235 laid over until 4/26/18, retaining its place on the calendar. Consideration of House amendments to Senate bills. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 33?
Senate Bill 33 by Senator Sonnenberg and Representatives Arndt and Becker J. concerning the continuation of the Animal Feeding Operation Permit Program under the Department of Public Health and Environment in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate adhere to its position on Senate Bill 33. I am happy to explain why, but that should be good enough. Interestingly enough, they took out the appropriations clause. So they're able to collect the fees to run the program, but now not able to spend them. There was a misunderstanding. So I just ask that we adhere to the Senate position.
Is there any discussion? The motion is for the Senate to adhere to its position on Senate Bill 33. All those in favor? No. I wish I could do it that way. Are there any no votes on the motion to adhere? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, that motion is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title of the Senate Bill 108?
Senate Bill 108 by Senators Crowder and Corman and Representative Arnsinger concerning the issuance of identification documents under the Colorado Road and Community Safety Act to persons who are not lawfully present in the United States and in connection therewith, making an appropriation.
Senator Coram.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate adhere to their position on 108. In House appropriations, they decided they needed more money, and I don't think that's the case. These are actually taken care of. They pay their own fees right now. It's 3 times, and so I move to adhere.
Is there any further discussion? We're on a roll. The motion before the body is for the Senate to adhere to its position on Senate Bill 108. Are there any no votes on adherence? Senator Jones, Senator Moreno, Senator Kagan. With 32, Senator Kerr. With 31 ayes, 4 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, that motion is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 132?
Senate Bill 132 by Senator Smallwood and Representative Kennedy concerning a waiver of federal law to permit insurance carriers to offer catastrophic health plans to any individual residing in Colorado and in connection therewith, making an appropriation.
Senator Smallwood.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate concur with the House amendments to Senate Bill 132.
We were on a roll. Well, would you please offer a brief explanation?
I'm happy to, Mr. President. Our friends in the House thought that our 1332 waiver to allow catastrophic health insurance plans to be sold needed a sunset provision attached to it so that in 4 years we'll hear about this in SMART Act hearings and it will be up for sunset in 5 years, at which time it will, I'm sure, be proved to have been wildly successful and continued. Ask for your support.
Is there any further discussion? The motion before the body is for the Senate to concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 132. Are there any no votes on concurrence? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, that motion is adopted. Senator Smallwood.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the readoption of Senate Bill 132 and ask for aye votes.
The motion before the body is the adoption, the repassage of Senate Bill 132. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 132 is readopted. Co-sponsors. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. At the request of the sponsor, I move to lay over Senate Bill 141 for consideration of House amendments to Monday, April 23rd.
Motion is to lay over consideration of House amendments to Senate Bill 141 to Monday, the 23rd. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and that will lay over. Consideration of Governor's Appointments Consent Calendar. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read those appointments?
Member of the State Electrical Board for a term expiring July 1st, 2018, Scott R. Pandy, Fort Collins, Colorado, to serve as the general contractor actively engaged in the building industry. Reappointed member of the State Plumbing Board for term expiring July 1st, 2021, Catherine A. Donahue of Windsor, Colorado, unaffiliated and journeyman plumber, appointed. Members of the Uninsured Employer Board for a term expiring September 1st, 2019, Roger Allen Hayes of Aurora, Colorado, serves as representative of employers, appointed. For terms expiring September 1st, 2020, Elsa Martinez Tenrero, J.D. of Elizabeth, Colorado, to serve as an attorney representing injured workers, appointed. Amy Newton, Westminster, Colorado, to serve as representative of insurers, appointed. Member of the Colorado Commission on Judicial Discipline, effective June 30th, 2017, for a term expiring June 30th, 2021. Christopher Gregory, Fort Collins, Colorado, to serve as an attorney appointed.
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move all the consideration of governor's appointments consent calendar, including a member of the State Electrical Board, a member of the State Plumbing Board, members of the Uninsured Employer Board, and a member of the Colorado Commission on Judicial Discipline.
Is there any discussion? The motion is for the adoption of all the appointments on the consideration of governor's appointments consent calendar. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, those appointments are confirmed. The following persons have been appointed to the State Electrical Board: Scott R. Pandy. To the State Plumbing Board, Catherine A. Donahue. To the Uninsured Employer Board, Roger Allen Hayes, Elsa Martinez Tenrero, Amy Newton. And to the Colorado Commission on Judicial Discipline, Christopher Gregory. Signing of bills.
The President has signed Senate Bill 180 and 187. The President has signed House Bill 1104, 1132, 1211, 1237, 1243, 1282, 1326. The President has signed House Bill 1147, 1275, 1322, 1328, 1332, 1333, 1334, and 1337.
Announcements. Senator Marble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would request for the good senator from Larimer County and I to have a moment of personal privilege.
Granted and granted.
Thank you.
We want to take this time to present some really wonderful women. This is Colorado Federation of Republican Women Day at the Capitol. And we have a great group of women who have come down to spend the day with us. And if you would please stand.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say, yes, I agree. Thank you and welcome down to the Senate floor.
Thank you. Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, on your desk the other day, there was a flyer put there for the Colorado Sportsman's Day at the Capitol, beginning at 11:30 out on the East Lawn. They are going to have a wild game lunch. There'll be elk brats and hamburgers and so on and so forth, and that will be out on the East Lawn by the Buffalo. Also this evening at 5 to 7 p.m. at Stoney's Bar and Grill, there is a legislative reception with the Colorado Sportsman's Caucus. So if you would like to attend, they would most like to have you there. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last night I took the opportunity to listen to the audio recording of the pilot of Southwest Airlines 1380. And it was the most incredible. I hope you all listen to it. This lady has more courage. She was so calm. She's calmer talking to the tower, explaining what was going on during the flight and the landing procedure than I am right now. You talk about ice water in the veins. She's a trained Navy fighter pilot, and it just shows how well prepared our military pilots are when they go into commercial service. And I would ask you all to listen to that. It's inspiring.
Senator Martinez-Umenick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I just want to remind everyone that the CLAW Caucus is meeting in House Committee Room 107 at noon, and the Cancer Caucus will be meeting in Senate Committee Room 357 at noon. So all of those of you that have interest in either one of those topics, please join us. And then I had one other thing that I did want to say. We've got a lot of fires going on in Colorado right now. So I want to remind people, please, please, be very careful with any controlled burns or throwing lit cigarettes out your window. Now, some of these fires have not been started by some human error yet, or they haven't determined that yet, but we had 27 homes and buildings that were lost in one of the fires, and because of the wind, folks that are fighting these fires are really having some difficulty in getting them under control. So Colorado is under a red flag warning. We are in high warnings for fires, so please, Colorado, let's be very careful about campfires or anything else that might spark a fire that is then very soon out of control.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Joint Budget Committee will not meet today as currently scheduled.
Any further announcements? Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Once again, we will leave the desk open. We'll have bills, possibly committee reports to read over. We will not come back to the floor. You do not need to be present, but you are always welcome. Mr. President, I move the Senate recess until 1:30 p.m. today.
The motion is for the Senate to recess till 1:30 p.m. today. All those in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will stand in recess.